Four men are on a phone call. Not one of them is in the same room. Not one is even in the same prison. They are using contraband cell phones, and they open the way old friends do, comparing their weight, joking about their stomachs. Then the tone changes. One of them says he has walked his man through the whole thing. Step by step, every contingency. This is the way you do it. You block here, you hit here, you go this way. They call the target 2 T's. They call the plan a car show. Whoever drives him to the car show is the one who does it.
We can find out where he's at. We'll touch him over there where he's at, and then when he gets out, then you got the green light to do what you want.
Here is the part they did not know. One of those phones was tapped. Every word went onto a recording. 4 days later, the man they called 2 T's was dead on a prison yard. And knowing had stopped nothing. Everyone in this story was being listened to. The whole time, on every side. It changed nothing. On the paperwork, his name was Emiliano Lopez. In Wilmington, they called him Tonito. From inside the most isolated prison in California, he ran tax collection crews in 5 cities using nothing but a telephone. On a recorded jail line, he taught other men how to beat a wiretap while his own wiretap ran the whole time. And when his organization finally decided to kill him, the men who did it could not agree on which of his mistakes got him done. A former Mexican Mafia member named Rene Enriquez had a blunter theory. He said Tonito had chorro of the mouth, Spanish for something that pours out and will not stop. If you're watching on your phone, hit the hype button and drop your city in the comments. For most of the years that matter here, he was held in the short corridor at Pelican Bay State Prison up in Del Norte County near the Oregon line. 4 housing units built for men the department had decided could not be allowed to influence anybody. Mail went to the gang investigator before it went anywhere else. Visits were watched. The exercise yard was a concrete box. You walked alone. That was the entire point of the place. He ran 5 cities out of it. You can hear what he sounded like because the recording survived. And the first thing you notice is that he does not sound like what he is. He opens almost every call the same way. He asks about the family. He asks people what they do for a living. One man tells him he works at a box plant, and Tonito turns it over like it is the most interesting thing he has heard all week. You make boxes. He asks how old the kids are. He tells people to look out for themselves. Then, without changing his tone even slightly, he starts talking about money and about who needs to be dealt with. And that same warm, unhurried voice carries the whole way through. The man asking about your children and the man ordering a killing are using the exact same register in the exact same breath. One of the voices on those tapes belongs to a woman named Lisa. She was his girlfriend. And there is a 40-minute call between the two of them with nothing illegal in it anywhere. Hold on to that. That voice was not born in a cell. It was born in a port town on the wrong side of a boulevard. Toonito came out of Eastside Wilmas, down in Wilmington. By the port, Avalon Boulevard is the line. On one side, the east side, on the other, the west side. On the street, the two of them fight each other. Inside the prison system, they pay the same people. That contradiction runs through everything that follows. Men who bleed each other over a boulevard, kicking money up to the same hand. Court testimony would later describe Toonito and another Wilmington man, Gabriel Sleepy Huerta, as old members who had run that town for more than a decade. 2 names. 1 Harbor. He entered the state prison system on January 17, 1989, on a life sentence with the possibility of parole out of Los Angeles County for first-degree murder and second-degree robbery with a firearm. That is all the public record gives you. No name for the man he killed, no address, no account of the night. He was about 27 when the gate closed behind him, and he would spend about 27 more years on the other side of it. The same life, cut almost exactly in half, and only one half of it written down anywhere. Here is the strangest part. The crime that put him away for good is a blank space. The crime with a full public record, the one investigators built a case around, the one with names and dates and a paper trail running for years. He did not commit it personally. He ordered it from a cell over the phone, and the man who died for it worked for him. His name was William Knight. On the street, they called him Tiny. He was 33. On July 5th, 2010, the day after the 4th of July, he was standing outside an apartment building on the 1600 block of West 219th Street when a man walked up to him and opened fire. Somebody called paramedics. He died at the hospital. Knight was not a rival. That is the thing to understand about him. He worked for Tonito. Earlier that year, he had been handed tax collection for the harbor area, and for at least a month, he had not turned any of it in. But here is what makes it worth stopping on. A witness at the trial testified that roughly 90% of the men who collect that money skim some of it, and that almost none of them are ever punished for it. The same witness said Tonito's crew did not even like killing people, because killing people brings police down on everyone. Knight is the one they shot anyway. The chain ran, according to the court record, from a cell in Del Norte County down to Tonito's younger brother, Ronald Lopez, called Dave, the crew chief on the street. Under him, a camarada named David Solorio, known as Blackie. Under both of them, a soldier called Goofy, Sheldon McMorris, who collected taxes and, that night, did the shooting. Sit with the reason Knight died. It was not the worst thing anyone in that crew had done. 90% were stealing. He was the one the organization needed to make an example of. In the month, it needed one. Remember that 6 years from now, it comes back around for the man giving the orders. None of them knew how long they had already been listened to. The answer is 4 years. It started in 2006, run by a detective named Dano Neslin out of the Bell Gardens Police Department. Detectives put wiretaps on roughly 16 phones. The crew swapped numbers constantly to stay ahead of exactly that, and the detectives kept up phone after phone. From 2008 through 2010, Neslin listened to so many hours of Tonito's calls that he could identify the men on them by voice alone. Then he turned one of them. Ovidio Salazar, called Flacco, had been running tax collection for the crew. He hit legal trouble in 2010, and Neslin recruited him. For nearly a year, Salazar sat down with man after man in that crew wearing a recording device. He was paid $11,500. Ronald Lopez and Solorio were arrested on April 12th, 2012. The indictment ran 19 counts, 3 defendants, 1 jury, and the evidence came in a wave. Intercepted calls, recordings from the wires, text messages, cell phone triangulation, surveillance, and McMorris confessing the whole thing to an informant. One moment from the middle of the trial says more than the verdict does. The 3 of them were being driven to the courthouse in Long Beach together, and on the way, they came face to face with a Mexican Mafia member who was there to testify against them. Nobody had to explain what that meant. The jury convicted all 3 on every count. Ronald Lopez, the younger brother, got 535 years to life. Most of it came off the murder. A 25 to life term tripled under the 3 strikes law, stacked with a firearm enhancement. The Court of Appeal affirmed it all in 2022. No man can serve 535 years, and the court knew it when it said the number out loud. The older brother gave the order from a cell. The younger brother caught the whole sentence on the street. Toonito was not one of the 3 who stood trial that day. He was all over the recordings the case was built from. So how did they contain what they contained? Because of the way he worked the phone, he almost never dialed the number he actually wanted. He called somebody who would bridge him to somebody else, and sometimes bridge that person on to a third. There are recordings that are nothing but Toonito waiting on the line, while a woman he has never met dials a cell phone for him. He kept a secretary to handle the traffic. He used the wives and girlfriends of other men to carry messages nobody was supposed to be able to send. In the whole structure, 5 cities, a dozen crews, money moving every week, ran on one single thing: proof that you spoke for him. In the old days, that proof came as a letter, and the men on the yard called it a driver's license. By his era, it was simpler than that. His instruction to a man just out of prison, recorded on a jail line, was this: you let everybody know you're working for me. If somebody wants to check, you give them my name and my number. That's your license right there. Follow that all the way down. An organization with no courts, no contracts, no paperwork of any kind still needed a form of ID. And the form of ID, the thing that told a dealer in Pasadena whether the man taxing him was real, was the telephone number of a man in a cell more than 600 miles away. That was the system. The rest of it was craft, and he was good at the craft. Good enough that it is worth slowing down on, because the same skill that built all of this is the skill that eventually got him killed. Start with how he moved product into a lockdown prison. He talked openly about happy cards, greeting cards soaked in liquid acid or methamphetamine and mailed straight in through the prison post. He handed out the code words on a recorded line without a flicker of hesitation. Ashley meant acid, Sarah meant speed, Cindy was heroin. His one and only piece of operational security on the subject was this: don't send me birthday cards, because those guys don't know when my birthday is. Send greeting cards. He coached people on beating the mail screening the same way. Have somebody else do the handwriting, because the investigators already know yours. Never use the same computer twice. Put a false name and a false return address on the envelope. Have a woman write it, and write it like gossip. I saw Lago at the mall yesterday. He says hello, so the whole thing reads like nothing at all. He once asked a man to mail him a sewing needle, which in a lockdown unit is worth more than money. And when the isolation got to be too much, he had a way out of it. He would arrange to be subpoenaed as a witness in somebody else's case, which forced the department to haul him down to a county jail for months at a time. He was honest about why. Down there, he got 2 visits a week and a phone call every day. And then there is the part that should stop you cold. On a jail line, Tonito once spent several minutes teaching a stranger how to avoid electronic surveillance. Keep switching to cell phones, because they tap those. Even with the phone powered off, they can still record you. If you're meeting someone, leave the phones in the car, get out, and walk while you talk. That lecture is interrupted twice, once before it, once after, by an automated voice saying the call may be monitored or recorded. He does not lower his voice. He does not change the subject. The list of evidence that buried his brother was, mostly, a list of the exact things he was warning that man about. And now the part nobody expects. He was genuinely good at this. On one call, he lays out a rule for his people. Always keep somebody on standby. If one of you gets picked up, there's a man ready to step in, so we don't lose a step and we don't lose a spot. On another, he explains why he does not want any of his men running a prison yard. Men who run yards get rolled up. All he wants is people quietly making money out of the politics, out of the stabbings, unless a race riot leaves them no choice. Keep earning. Stay out of the reports. Even Enriquez, who has testified in dozens of these cases and has nothing kind to say about him otherwise, stops on that recording to call it what it was. It was smart. It was also a design, and a design does not care who it is pointed at. It applied to every man in the structure, including the man who wrote it. Tonito spent years teaching the organization how to lose a member without losing a territory, and in 2012, the lesson was tested on his own blood. His brother and his assistant were taken off the street for good, and the collection carried on without a missed beat. You can watch the machine still running in the last year of his life. In 2015, his secretary was on a string of calls over whether another member should be stripped of his rank. On August 3rd, 2 inmates chased a man across a yard at Centinela State Prison and stabbed him. The approval came from a different member, not from Tonito at all. The machine no longer needed him to run, and a machine that runs without you only needs one reason to turn and face you. Tonito had already handed it several. The first one was territory. The rule every man in his position lived under was simple. You do not work another member's area without his say-so. On the recordings, Tonito runs the same move over and over. He says that if the member who holds a city already has people there, he'll back off, respectful, careful. And then, in the very next breath, he tells his own man to go ahead and tax everyone who is not already working for that member. 5 cities come up again and again: West Covina, Pasadena, Bell Gardens, Newhall, Victorville. West Covina belonged to a colonel named Rafael Munoz Gonzalez, called Cisco, who ran Puente 13 and is now serving life in federal prison. Tonito put his people in it anyway. Enriquez calls that one of the main reasons he ended up dead, though that is Enriquez reading the tea leaves, not the finding of any court. The second mistake does not fit anything else in this story. The organization came to believe Lisa, his girlfriend, was talking to federal agents. Tonito was expected to handle that himself. He did not, and with her, of all people, he was careful. That 40-minute call has nothing illegal in it anywhere. They talk about family, about whether she can make the visit on Thursday. She tells him her sister has 4 tickets to see Madonna at the Staples Center. He tells her to have a good time. Whatever business the two of them ever had went by paper, in the visiting room, and never once onto a phone line. Think about what that means. The one person he was truly disciplined with was the one person he had been ordered to move against. And when the pressure came, what he did was not move against her. It was try to get a message to her through somebody else, to warn her. Both mistakes pointed the same way, and the organization had already picked up the phone. Go back to those 4 men on the tap line. The target is 2 T's. The plan is a car show. Whoever drives him there is the one who does it. And if he doesn't make it to the car show on Saturday, somebody else takes the driver's seat. By then, Tonito was no longer at Pelican Bay. Sometime after his crew went down, the department had moved him south to Calipatria State Prison, out in the desert of Imperial County, onto an ordinary maximum security yard. Nothing in the public record explains the transfer. What it meant, in plain terms, was that men could finally reach him. 4 days after that call, they do. July 10th, 2016, 8 minutes past 10 in the morning, on the facility C yard. 2 separate fights break out in 2 separate parts of the yard, 22 men in all, and the officers are pulled in 2 directions at once. Enriquez describes the second fight as the diversion. In the middle of it, while the rest of the yard goes down flat, 2 men do not stop. Officers recover 4 inmate-made weapons. At 11 o'clock, the man they had been standing over is pronounced dead. The Department of Corrections would describe multiple puncture wounds to his abdomen, chest, head, and back, and hold his name until the family was notified. Enriquez says he was stabbed more than 80 times. Those 2 accounts do not agree, and there is no closing that gap from the outside, between a press release and the memory of a man who lived in that world. He was 54. Nobody has ever been publicly prosecuted for it. The other half of Wilmington is still in a cell. Gabriel Sleepy Huerta, a reputed member of the Mexican Mafia's 3-man commission, locked up since 1984, was charged in 2023 with running Eastside Wilmas from the inside. He has pleaded not guilty. The machine did not stop when Tonito died. It never does. The comfortable version of this story is the one where the recordings finally caught up with him. That is not what happened. The recordings caught his brother, his assistant, and his shooter, and dropped 535 years on one of them, and they never once caught him. What reached him in the end was a phone call his own organization made on a line that was also being recorded, and that recording did not save him either. That is the whole thing, right there. Everyone in this story was being listened to, on every side, the entire time, and it changed nothing about how any of it ended. He spent the last 10 years of his life running something that worked exactly as designed, right up until the week it was pointed the other way. There are people making the first small version of that same arrangement this week. and almost every one of them believes he'll be the one who sees it coming. Everyone was listening, on every side, the whole time. It saved no one. If this one made you stop and think, hit like and drop your city, it's how the story reaches somebody who needs it before they make a call they can't take back. And if you want to see this same machine build an empire instead of ending one, Danny Popeye Roman ran a dozen gangs out of Pelican Bay before it turned on him too. That story is on your screen now.